In the studio by lawyer Kobi Amoa, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team. He's an aide to Honorable Kennedy Japong. He's a law lecturer, as well as others. Lawyer, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the show.
Right here.
Yes. Also in the studio with me is a member of Parliament for Sissala East constituency. He's a very good friend and a brother in person of Honorable Mohammed Bataglia. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. You know, we've been off Parliament and everybody's running up and down, trying to put body and soul together.
I hope the constituency is okay.
Yeah, I've been to the constituency.
Right.
And I think that so far so good, but it's just that we are having a perennial challenge that we hope to get it resolved. And that is the issue of our roads. And you know that. You've been there, you've tasted it. Even you went there during the dry season. This time it's west.
Oh, I see.
And you know, we are largely an agricultural centered for a constituency, a rural one of that. And I think that so far, that has been the bane. But thankfully, we've gotten some good news, right from the Minister of Finance, the Road Minister, the President. Everybody is focusing on our area to get things done through the big push.
Right.
So we are pushing for that.
I wish to visit the area once more.
We will drag you there. You know?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll gladly come. I'll start with you, Kobi. Your boss has made these statements, and I would want a passing comments on this before we move to the substantive topic. That he wouldn't have conceded until the last ballot was counted in the 2024 elections. He's seeking to lead the New Patriotic Party. What it means is that he wasn't too comfortable and happy with the 2024 flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for conceding that early. What might have necessitated these statements from the Honorable Kennedy Japong?
All right, thank you very much to you and your listeners. We, in 2024, let me start from 92.
Right.
The year 1992, I think, during the election, the presidential election was a week ahead of parliamentary. And after MPP lost the presidential, we decided not to even contest the parliamentary at all. For good reason, from 96 onward, both elections were held on the same day.
Fair.
And I think one of the good things about such is that mostly, if you realize, a lot of the times when we are voting for voting by-elections, parliamentary by-elections, the voter turnout is low because the mostly presidential election, the enthusiasm about presidential election, and the fact that people even know what the impact of presidential elections are actually drive voters to polling stations during these elections, and they end up voting parliamentary too. And that's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, even doing by-elections, people don't even end up voting at all. So there's a very strong relation between parliamentary elections and presidential elections. The last election, I was one of the lawyers for the New Patriotic Party who were stationed. We had lawyers stationed in all constituencies. I was in Swami constituency working. We finished polls the regular time 5. We did the counting. We started collation. In fact, we started collation around 1 a.m. So around 9-10 a.m. we heard that Dr. Bawumia wanted to address the nation. Then we just realized that he had conceded defeat. At that point in time, from the experience in my own polling station, a lot of the MPP people who were there, observers, all left. That was even before we could finish presidential collation to continue with parliamentary collation. During the period of parliamentary
collation. At the time Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia conceded a defeat, it was clear that the MPP had lost the election. It was so clear across the country. I mean, at the time, the media had projected the NDC winning the election. At the time, it was, you see,
the media
coalitions were done, at various polling stations, and it was so clear that the NDC had won. The NDC's, tabulations and everything clearly at the time showed that the NDC had won the election. If you look at the number of seats that the NDC won at the time, it was so clear that there wasn't any way that the NDC could have won the election.
I getting it wrong here. As of that time, most most collation centers had not started parliamentary collation. Honorable is here, he's a member of parliament. I mean, Honorable, I don't know if you remember, as of 10 a.m. on the Sunday, had you started your collation, parliamentary seats collation in your constituency? No, I mean, you were a candidate, and I was an agent. Right, so I was there on the election day for Swami constituency. We're not even down with presidential, and I was on a platform with other people, and most places had not started their presidential parliamentary collation. What's the challenge that's is a lot of people had hope. Like that's one thing with elections. Until the final declaration is made, sometimes even when it's released, there are a lot of people who had hope that their party was going to win. Till that final declaration came. And in fact, the night before, there had been a high-powered delegation leading a press conference led by Dennis Miracles Abuaje, my big sister Fati, and our director of communication of the party, Richard Ahiagba, led and assured us that we were going to win the election. Everything was on track. So, moving forward, Dr. Bawumia came to declare. Once Dr. Bawumia declared, security broke down nationwide. And from experience, and as I said, we was in contact with other people who were agents like me. Security broke down nationwide, especially at the collation centers. And what started happening was that NDC people were emboldened, and there's a struggle for power. So people were actually emboldened, entered into collation centers. There are a lot of polling stations where people went there, collected all the pink sheets, all the evidence of the polling, and took them away. And so they collected all the evidence of the polling and took them away. People went there. In fact, there are videos of Sam George, who was a member of parliament. He had finished his election, went to a different collation center. In fact, at that collation center, and you could see the people. They forcefully or coerced the agents, the returning officer, the returning officer to declare for their candidates. These were the challenges that the early declaration brought. And by virtue of that, NPP ended up as of then with only 88 seats. And I can tell you, there are a couple of seats that, for instance, a seat like Aowen, but for the early declaration, the NPP could have fought till the end. A seat like Ablekuma North, but for the early declaration, NPP could have fought to the end. A seat like Dobi Kwabenya, but for the early declaration, NPP could have fought to the end. In fact, there were 7 other NPP seats that on that day, by virtue of the fact that security had broken down,
fought to the end. But would you have won those seats?
Yes, and let me tell you why. In fact, there were a couple of other seats, 7 of them. I'm going to mention all of them to you. I was part of the team that was in court. There were 7 other NPP seats where same or something similar was done, but they were able to preserve some of the evidence. And Sawema Dioji was part. Tema Central, my own boss, Charles Forson's constituency was part. Okaikwe Central, that is Young Patrick Yaboama's constituency was part. As I have no Southwest or Southeast, I'm not too sure. I have all the data here. In these constituencies, similar issues happened. They were lucky that they were able to preserve the evidence. In fact, even with them, the EC had illegally declared the NDC parliamentary candidates as the winner of the elections. They had to go to High Court. In fact, it went all the way to the Supreme Court for Shorara and came back. We spent both our Christmas Day, our New Year's Day, fought to the end till finally we were able to rescue these 7. So the fact that early declaration was made, emboldening certain people were threatening the police officers that we will transfer you are going to pay for this, and they have seen the power transfer right before their eyes.
So you think that before Dr. Mohammed Bawumia conceded, it wasn't clear across the nation that the NDC had won the election?
No, I don't think it was clear. So
what was your conviction? At the time you considered, the NDP was still thinking that they were going to win the election?
Because you see, I was at a polling station. I could see the number of people who were there, enthusiastic, making sure that we should protect our ballot, making sure we should win, and we're doing the coalition center. There were so many people outside. Right after the declaration, everybody started leaving. Everybody forgot about parliamentary. And you see, for parties, once you win presidential, you would want more. Mostly the big ticket item is the presidential. But once you win presidential, then there will be that enthusiasm. Let's get parliament. But for those of us, and this election, they did something different. Mostly, at the coalition centers for previous elections, they actually do collation of parliamentary before presidential. This time around, it was different. So we did collation of presidential before parliamentary. So once, like, a lot of people realized that, oh, we had lost the ultimate, and what is the essence of saving the seats, they all started working out. But those in government knew that they need numbers in parliament. So those in government, and that's how come an MP like Sam George could move from his constituency to another constituency to fight for seats. And there are videos all over. And I was in court on these days. For 7 of them, we were able to fight to reverse them. But even for these seats, there had been declarations made in favor of the candidates there.
So, and even if Dr. Bawumia had waited till the last ballot was counted in the last constituency before he conceded a defeat, it wouldn't have changed the verdict.
Yes, Dr. Bawumia would have lost, obviously. Yes, we wouldn't have won parliament, but NDC wouldn't have had the 2/3 it has. I'm very convinced about that.
You're convinced about
yes.
that?
I don't think
so in other words, you're saying that the decision by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to concede early
was a wrong one.
And was a wrong one and has affected the party in the 2024 election.
And the truth is, someone like the Wajabawe MP, he's actually a leader in parliament. He has been very neutral throughout the process. I don't know who he supports in his heart, and he has said it's clear. Okuboy, Dr. Okuboy, is a Dr. Bawumia supporter, and he has made it. In fact, someone just sent me a video of Dennis Miracle Osabaje, saying that decision actually cost us seats. In his defense, he thinks that Dr. Bawumia did it for the peace of the nation. But that is the comment. But he even believes, and this is his spokesperson, he believes that Dr. Bawumia did it for the peace of the nation. But he also concedes that decision cost us some seats. Now, the challenge here is that I actually think that, to be very honest, that election, apart from the isolated event where military men beat, I think one NDC executive somewhere, Obuase, had a scuffle with a military man.
Right.
Apart from that particular isolated situation, the election was generally peaceful. But the declaration was made, and there was a lot of chaos in some coalition centers.
But I don't get it. What's the motive behind this statement made by Honorable Kennedy Japan?
So I think he's making it clear that going into 2028 election, it's not going to be an easy election. 2028 election is actually an election we are taking away from the NDC. When I say we are taking away from the NDC, I'm saying so because looking at our history, at every point in time, parties have been given 8 years. NDC had their first 8 years with Rawlings. Kufuor continued. Mills Mahama, yes, 4-4, but it was still an 8-year period for the party. And Kufuor had another 4 years. So if NPP really wants to win power in 2028, we need a leader who will stand firm, a leader who will be strong enough to ensure that the right thing is done, and a leader who will not be a pushover.
All right, thank you so much. I'll come back to you. Viewers, you are still watching the Prime Points right here on Pan African Television with me, Justice Appiah. I would want to take a thought on what Honorable Japan said.
I want to know if you, I don't know if you, maybe if you don't remember, that's fine. If you could recall when coalition. Oh, just a minute. Just a minute. Sorry.
Right, okay.
So, and I've seen a lot of comments being made that this couldn't have been true because if the MPs were serious, they would have had their own coalition processes. Anyone who said this does not really understand what went on the election day. You know why? The MPs scanned these ballot papers, these pink sheets. They did their own collation and they were winning. Example, Okwaike Central. He scanned everything, did his own collation, and he was winning. He hits the collation center. Tax are brought in. They come scatter the whole place, destroy ballot papers, and take them away. Then EC tells you they are not going to take duplicates or scan ballots, scan pink sheets because they are not original. These were the actual things that happened on the ground. So the fact that you have scanned and everything, and the EC says, I want your original copy. The original copy is the only one that was accepted during the collation process. And during the collation process, tags were brought in and these tags took the original copies from them. So you don't even have evidence that you won. These were the practical challenges that we faced.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, lawyer, for your submission. Honorable, I'll take your initial thought on this. Okay, Japan thinks that Bawumia shouldn't have conceded that early. Kobe here is also saying that, well, the decision by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to concede that early has affected the New Patriotic Party. The NDC may win the election. They would have had majority in parliament, but you wouldn't have been able to get the 2/3 in parliament. Your take on that?
Well, Justice, once again, let me also seize this wonderful opportunity to give you a very good evening and your team, my friend and brother, Lawyer Kobe. I think today is our first time being on set together. And more importantly, the people of Sissala East. I am sure being here, I've already told you that it's a privilege. And I thank them for this opportunity given me to also serve them.
Right.
Yeah, so my brother indicated that the statement made by Honorable Kennedy Japan, one of the candidates working hard to represent the MPP in 2028 elections. And he made a statement referencing the point that the early conceding of Dr. Bawumia sounded a bit problematic. Well, politics is always a game, depending on where you are, you have your own strategy. And normally I try as much as possible not to begrudge people with what they think. But if indeed Bawumia had even listened to Honorable Kennedy Japan, he wouldn't have even contested the election in the first place. Because it is obvious. He wouldn't have contested the election. Because one thing I like about Honorable Kennedy Japan is because he says it as it is. And he told MPP long ago that they lost the election in 2022. And that's on record, based on happiness. And so I am surprised that he wouldn't have even considered. If even Bawumia had even listened to him, he shouldn't have even contested the election. And my brother indicated that he asked a question regarding the coalitions and other things. You see, experiences will let you develop a system. And I sit here this evening, I drove my heart out to wherever he is. May his soul and the soul of all those who departed with him rest in perfect peace. Dr. Omane Boama. At one point in time, in 2020, NDC became a mockery because we were mocked in this country based on the fact that we were told that we didn't even have a system that could tell.
There were sessions that you couldn't collate your result.
More so because Supreme Court even asked for those. And it became a big issue in this country. Right from that point, I think he started working and putting systems in place. And the point of testing that system was as enough. Where clearly the systems he kept in place were something that that was robust, that NDC could rely on. At a point, before you can become a polling agent for NDC, a director of election for NDC, you should sit for an exam. My constituency, my director of election have to come to the region to sit for exams severally, go for interviews before they were allowed. Because we saw some writings where somebody, instead of 90,000 or 400, will write 490,000. And the worst actually prevailed over the diggers. And based on that, we lost badly in 2020. So clearly, when all those systems were kept in place, and also the issue, I think my brother made a very good point where they said that before, and that's a very good observation, they do the collation of the parliamentary, then later the president. But and the challenge was also that the moment people felt that they've won the parliamentary, they go jubilating, and the presidential becomes another thing. Because the president largely is not coming from that point, every community. So they decided this time that let them go for the presidential first. Me, sitting down here, as at 9:30, 10 p.m., it was clear that I've won the election. Because out of, let me say, 106 polling stations, clearly the data that came to us indicated I've won 103. So it was just a matter of waiting for them to confirm through the official documentations. So to me, I think that, well, Honorable Kennedy Japan is a different variable when given the opportunity to lead a MPP as against Dr. Bawumia. Their strategies definitely will not be the same. And maybe his strategy is that he will wait until the last ballot is counted, everything is sealed before he says yes. But based on what was confronted with Bawumia, he had no option than to accept. And to me, I thought that yes, even they seized the laws. Well, it's debatable. I think that Ghanaians communicated very clearly. And that communication is not just to MPP, it's for every politician. That we've gotten to a point that we won't allow you to take us for granted. And that was the clear-cut communication, coupled with the fact that NDC also put good strategy towards their campaign, and that was it. So, well, they are in the campaign trail, so everybody he has his base, and this is more of what the party people themselves voting to elect somebody to represent them. This is not a general election. So you have to be able to target your communication. Identify the potholes of your candidate, point them out, and see whether you can get support. But I think on a general note, if you look at general elections, the loss that Bawumia lost, any other person could have conceded, because it was something that was too obvious. Because you even sound funny if you are actually debating over that. Because at a point when John Dramani Mahama, he essentially lost by close to 1 million votes, it became a topical thing in this country. Subsequently, he lost by close to 500 votes. Then somebody lost by 1.7 million votes. This is unprecedented. And I think that the better he considered early, the earlier he considered was the better for him. Because I felt that he would have just been carrying a situation that he couldn't. And don't forget, in this country, there was one time there's a statement that we are in a comfortable lead. Is that not it? Fair enough. When NDC was losing, somebody was still giving us hope.
I know, right?
Yes, because they felt they were dragging until the last point. Eventually, it became a mockery for us again. So I'm sure Bawumia is trying to run away from the comfortable lead statement and making sure that as early as possible, let me not put this country into what? Any a pressure or any uncertainty. Let me just admit and say that, from the look of things, I've lost the election. If I'm going back to the drawing board to look at what went wrong, I am prepared for that. But it is up to MPP to decide who should lead them 2028. And my brother also made a very good point, giving an example. And thankfully, that point is even in my favor, because he said normally Ghanaians give parties 8 years. And it's about parties and not the individuals, because the individual is John Dramani Mahama, but the party is NDC. So John Dramani Mahama is having 8 years, but this particular system, NDC is still having 4 years. So we are sure that 2028, Ghanaians will further give us and see whether we can do better.
Right.
Maybe we are the people to break the 8. Let's hope and see what happens.
Right. Are you sure you're able to break the 8?
No, until we get there. It's just something to tease, but I'm sure that one day, depending on what we do, we should be able to somebody should break the 8 for us to see.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Honorable Bataglia, Member of Parliament for Sissala East constituency. Now let's come to a substantive topic, and we are talking about galamsey. Galamsey has been an issue the country has been battling with for quite some time now. I mean, it's been there. I mean, the previous government tried very hard to fight it, but unfortunately, they were unable to. I mean, this government is also trying to fight it. What has been the success situation so far? The TUC here is actually calling on government for more action on the menace. And I'll start with you, Kobe, on the issue of galamsey. The situation has gotten worse.
You have a lot to say on that.
The situation has gotten worse. Do you think that we are losing the fight against the menace as a country?
Now we are losing the fight. I don't know if you will lose it, but I think that we are losing the fight against galamsey. And the reason why I say this is that, truth be told, a lot of the things that, a lot of the programs, policies I see the NDC trying to implement, in my honest opinion, are recycled from some of the things that NPP did and also failed. So it's almost the same thing. We call it galam stop, they'll call it menace. We call community mining, they'll say cooperative mining. So a lot of the things are actually recycled things that didn't work previously. truth be told, I don't really see how they are going to work now unless there's that political will. We keep talking about political will a lot, but everything lies in political will. People talk about legislative reforms and all those things. Our laws may not be perfect, but if we really want to stop galamsey, we actually have enough laws to stop galamsey. Are we really going to enforce it? Government will tell us if arrested 1,400 people. 1,400 people, out of all the 1,400 people, is only one person that you can actually pinpoint to say that this person is sort of a big fish. And even that person is someone who is so politically exposed, in the sense that I'm not saying that politically exposed people, if we deem them to have faulted, we shouldn't bring them to book by virtue of they being involved in galamsey, not at all. But this person is so politically exposed in a manner that, and where there's also a lot of tensions between him and the president, the government, in a manner that we are not even unsure if indeed he's been arrested because of this exposure, or really because we want to get people to the book. I saw something from the Attorney General, which I was happy about, as to how far investigations have gone, we don't even know. But to arrest 1,400 people and not arrest the actual people behind these 1,400 people doesn't really show that we are putting enough the right commitment to stop galamsey. A lot of issues about state of emergency or not. To be very honest, I think state of emergency has become an issue because NDC were actually very loud about it, that they were going to come up with a state of emergency.
Right.
Is that the real solution? I don't think so, because under MPP's time, there was a period where galamsey was, small-scale mining was halted for over a year. Even though small-scale mining was halted for over a year, we came back, started all these processes, and at a point in time, it still failed. So the fact that a state of emergency will be declared for a period of time does not necessarily guarantee that indeed the galamsey, it's the fight against, or the galamsey fight itself is going to be successful. Because we've seen it previously. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that we have to do. This morning I was on one of your sister stations. We were talking about the fact that even what is the proper stakeholder consultation and engagement. Sometimes we say, the chiefs should stop galamsey, the chiefs should stop galamsey. Do they even understand what it means when we see someone is actually indulging in galamsey or illegal mining?
Yeah.
Does the existence of a license, or the fact that someone has a license to mine, mean that all their mining practices are actually legal? Sometimes, even if you say you want the chiefs to stop it, a lot of the times, because the chiefs are nowhere part of the even actual processing. If I walk to a chief in my hometown with a sheet of paper saying that is my mining lease, would they be able to differentiate between that and an actual mining lease? If I go and photocopy some document somewhere that I have my papers, what would that even mean to such a person? So there's a lot of things that we have to look at within the value chain. Sometimes when we talk about alternative livelihood, what is the actual alternative livelihood you are giving the people? The last time the Agric Minister spoke, he said that the people in the galamsey value chain are about 3 million people. So these 3 million people who, and galamsey is a lot of money, looking at maybe the level of education and the kind of work they are doing, would they have comparative income if they are doing it in another area? So if someone who from a village earns 7,000 cedis a day from galamsey, that is a master's degree holder's salary here, but someone who is just a hand on the galamsey site, you'll be earning as much as that for a month. So what alternative livelihood are you going to give them? It's a very complex issue. Truth be told, I agree that it should be bipartisan. Our approach should really be bipartisan, and let's all come together, because it doesn't look like any of the parties as of now have the solution to end galamsey. It's all about sweet talk. It's all about, we say this, we do this. When we come to power, we are unable to do it, and another party is waiting to make it a political issue on the election, during the election year. There's one important thing that government was able to do with cement. At a point in time, there was monopoly in the cement industry, and cement became one of those political issues where every day, probably due to the monopoly and lack of competition, cement prices were high. So it became one of the issues which were political. At the point, the politicians realized that if you don't come together and remove the monopoly, this will always be a political issue. The monopoly was removed, and it is no longer a front line or front burner political issue. So, I mean, these are my initial thoughts.
All right, okay. Let me read a few of our messages here, and then I'll come back to. Good evening, Justice. My regards to Honorable Hardworking People's MP of Sissala East, watching you live. Bashiru, that's my name, Bashiru. Thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening, Justice. This is a spirit-filled political discourse aimed at shaping the minds of many Ghanaian citizens. Honorable Mohammed Issah Bataglia is not just an MP, but an asset, a vision, and an inspiration to both his constituency and our nation at large. I want to use this platform to encourage him to keep on keeping and continue the good works that God has ordained him to fulfill on earth. We will stand by him to break through the Sissala East with ease. Seidu John Paul, former SRC President, Tatu, Nooks President, also Tatu. All right, thank you so much, Seidu John Paul, for that message. This one says, I'm watching you live from Chalu, Honorable Bataglia. Make us proud. Hello, Pan-African TV. I'm Wahab. Okay, Wahab, thank you so much for your message. Now, Honorable, I'll come to you on the issue of galamsey. After the NDC assumed office for about 10 months now, a lot of people are concerned with respect to the galamsey menace. Looking at the promises that were made by the National Democratic Congress in opposition, that they have the magic wand to fight the menace and stuff like that. We also how you chastised the previous government for not being able to deal with the issue properly. People are losing hope in your government because they think that you're equally losing the fight against galamsey. To an extent that some institutions, some experts, and some well-meaning Ghanaians have called on President John Dramani Mahama to, declare state of emergency. What do you make of your government's fight against galamsey so far?
Well, Justice, I think it's been a great evening, and my brother-in-law Yakobi gave me hope this evening. Honestly, I must confess that
he gave you hope.
Yes, to the extent that you see, when people pick the discourse out of just coloration and look at it as it is, that's what the country needs. And I think that we are young people. When we begin to see things from this perspective, it gives us a bit of hope that at least there can be unity of purpose to save our country at one point in time. So I'm saying that I'm confessing because I have to revise my notes to look at how to talk about this. But we all know, sitting here, that the issue about galamsey is an age-old thing. Right from the 14th century, we've seen all the forms of mining that has gone place. But this time around, it's becoming more detrimental to not just our environment, but to us as individuals. Some people even describe that as what existential threat to our lives. But without sounding political, let me make this point. I am sure he did indicate that we have all the laws. We might not have the perfect laws, but we have all the laws. If we really want to enhance and fortify those laws, enforce them, we can get something done. But at the same time, as a people, some time back, we've shot ourselves in the foot. Because we know those who are into this field will tell you those form of mining, be it the rock, the alluvial, and all that. But we also know that we have a portion of our society that we revere so much, and that's the forest. Somewhere in 2022, we as a country brought an LI that gave the president or some people the opportunity to mine in forest reserve. Today, that has been the topical thing. I remember as a member of the Secretariat Committee we looked at the regulation LI 2462.
Right.
And they said that as per regulation, that he's a lawyer, and I'm sure he will help me out on this. Regulation 3, that gave President the power to grant permission or permit for people to mine based on some considerations at what forest reserves. With the exception of what globally significant biodiversity areas.
Right.
Is that not it? That thing became a topical thing. Discussions came on. I remember late Honorable Muntala, he brought in through subsidiary legislation, they made an amendment of that regulation 3, which Ghanaians said no, it's not enough. But in the first place, we brought that into ourselves. The forests we were conserving, the nature that was protecting us, something that we could not quantify the externality of benefits. We allow people to go in there to mine. And that has become the albatross. Now people feel so entitled because of what they've gotten there. And that's the challenge we are facing. It's just like I have gone to farm, came with firewood that is termite infested. Lizards visited your home, you went to fumigate the place, and I'm blaming you that you are not fumigating so quickly. That's what we are faced with. That's what we are faced with. And I think that, like you said, TUC in 2024 have also called, like somewhere September, called on government, tabled A, B, C, D, about 3 strategic points that government should look at. I know even with the quarterly conference, at a point there was even a work for prayer. To pray said that galamsey will stop. So I am not surprised that this time around they are still calling on government. But they call for what? I think he made that point. They call for declare a state of emergency.
Yes.
Became so paramount because people thought that we should throw our hands in despair. But the president said where he says, and so far the information given to him in the data, they think that if they enforce the laws, they are getting impact. Why don't they go through the enforcement of the laws?
But how, you see, the president mentioned that
yes,
we've not exhausted all the measures we're
Yes.
supposed to put in place in ending the menace.
Sure.
But how different are the measures you are putting in place from what the previous government did?
I think my brother Kobe made that point clearly. No matter what it is, no matter how difficult the situation is, we are going to use Ghanaians. The ideas we are going to use will be similar. It is the approach that matters, the willingness that matters.
But are you willing? Do you have the political will to fight the menace?
Clearly, the political. And you see, you should have a holistic view.
But after 10 months in government, don't you think that Ghanaians should have been seeing improvement in the situation?
But the data they brought, as per the timidity of the waters, also indicated that there's improvement at some portions. It's not entirely though. Like where TUC went around the eastern region, where they raised the concern regarding the timidity of the water. Some other portions, you could see that there's an improvement, even though it's still way higher than what the required levels. Because if they require somewhere like 500 NTC, NTU rather, and now you are hovering around between 2,000. That's not unacceptable. Even if it's just even 1,000, it's unacceptable. But trust me, the measure you can see the Minister of Land, Ama Kofi-Buah, has, right from March, brought in 5-point approaches in dealing with some of these issues. Now the results are coming clearly. We are seeing the results. And the president is saying that, yes, even I think civil society organizations said before they were behind the scenes calling for a state of emergency to be declared. When the president engaged them and they saw the data, they said, oh, okay, they didn't have the full, from what they are seeing, if president will go on that tangent with that kind of enforcement, still we can make a headway.
Do you think that these measures you're putting in place are drastic enough? Yeah. Because you see, it wasn't as if the previous government did not choke any success in the fight against galamsey.
Yes.
When they started seizing excavators, when they were burning chamfines and stuff like that, we saw, some improvements at a point until, it got worse when they let their guards down.
So the challenge now...
So to me, the measures you are putting in place are not different from what they did. In fact, they burnt champagnes, you are doing same. They seized excavators, you are equally doing same. I mean, importation of excavators and stuff like that. I think at the time they also, did something about it. The NIMOS, they equally did Operation Vanguard and stuff like that. So these measures are not different. I mean, it's a matter of names that were changed and stuff like that. I think the fear of the ordinary Ghanaian is that this would equally not yield any positive result.
So if I listen to you well, you said at some point they were making some improvements. Yes. Sustainability became an issue. So your worry now is about how we can sustain this.
Yes.
Or we are making that's the point. That's the point. I told you that
the progress is not significant. Number two, even if you were able to progress significantly, how are you able to sustain it?
That's a different level of the conversation. But just as I did mention here that a situation that is years of an age-old situation, you don't expect that just between 10 months things can be completely resolved. You don't expect that. But I'm also telling you that among the same fight, you are dealing with Ghanaians. I made a point here, like my brother, he's a lawyer. At one point in time, we felt that bad people should be separated from society. They built prisons. Is that not it?
Right.
Now, whenever you commit a crime against the country, the state, you are put there, you are confined. Today, confining them there is even a challenge to the state. Is that not it? Right. We are still looking at a way to reform them. So the point is that you are dealing with Ghanaians. So you don't just look at one angle. You have to look at it holistically. As much as you are being ruthless with them, like the NIMOS is doing, you should also find a way so that people can still be able to live. And he did mention, what kind of sensitization are we giving to chiefs and local authority, stakeholders, so that they even understand their rules? And we all do agree. He made a very fantastic point where we are talking about wherever there's money and the youth can easily get access to it, it's difficult to control. You need very pragmatic measures that are able to bring down people's understanding to that level so that they will agree. We faced a challenge even in our area when it came to Rosewood. Sometimes the Rosewood, we think that it's an environment that we are protecting. We have the youth of Sissala got up, fought strongly. They even sometimes will have to fight with the chiefs, because if the chief is there and the Chinese bring 1,000 Ghana cedi, the chief might not even know the importance of that tree. You will have to tell the chief that tree that is there, that has lived for about 10, 20 years, has more importance to the community than even just giving it up for 1,000 Ghana cedi.
Right.
You get it? So the same situation, because there's money involved, people are making money. Sometimes people even leave their job. People say they don't have work, but they prefer to even be doing the galamsey or doing mining rather than go to work, because the money they might even get from the mining is far more than doing the regular work that we and me are doing.
Right.
And I think that nobody at this point will say the president is not committed to this fight. Nobody at this point will tell me that the minister and his team are not doing enough to be able to solve this problem. They are even looking at it. You are talking about issues about bringing the technology angle of it, tracking all excavators that are coming to this country, looking at the situation where they even have to do investment, whereby they have to even just go and do the survey, make sure that they direct people as to where to go and mine, so that we don't all go to do haphazard mining. All those things are issues. So it is something, it's a holistic thing, bringing all the people on board so that we can all look at how we are solving this problem. To me, I think that yes, the sustainability of it, and we saw the Prime Minister is even telling you that if they have to go on this tangent, they need over $1 billion of Ghana cedi to be able to fight that. So we look at the processes, how are we doing it? But you and me are also not playing our entire role. Because today we sit in public and talk about condemn galamsey, but tomorrow we sleep with the people who are into galamsey. Everybody knows somebody who does galamsey. Are we accepting as a community situation? Are we accepting as a country, not just because some few people are leading the country today, they should be fighting it? Everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a role. So if you're able to galvanize that kind of support right from the top to the last person, I am sure we'll be able to deal with some of these things. And I've seen the president clearly showing that kind of commitment. And I believe that now, once the conversation has gone beyond just one party as against other, we are looking at it as Ghanaians. We are looking at it as a situation that is facing us as a threat in terms of our living or as existence. I think that we should be able to set up to make sure that this measure that the government is bringing, we support it to work. Otherwise, to me, I think that so far it's been quite good based on where we are coming from. Yeah.
All right, I have some few messages here. Let me read some few. Kobe, I'm sure you want to say something, but thanks to Honorable for making clear that the MPP must forget about the 2028 elections, because elections in Ghana are not about parties and not personality. Okay, thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening. Good evening, Justice, and your panelists. I want to use this opportunity to congratulate our hardworking MP, Honorable Mohammed Issah Bataglia, for his wonderful submission, and I wish him a healthy life, wisdom, and to develop Sissala East constituency. This one says, with the fight against galamsey, the President and the NDC have really demonstrated commitment to ensuring that the menace is properly handled. All these arrests and banning of machines is a show of goodwill by the government. His Excellency JDM needs a tap on the back and to be encouraged to do more in order to bring finality to the matter. Watching live from Tamale, Sedu sent in that one. Sedu, thank you so much for your message. This one says, Honorable Bataglia, the people of Sissala East are proud of you. In fact, you have good communication skills. I always like your submission. Hakim from Wahakim. Tell Honorable to make himself available all the time, and especially to all media houses. Good evening, Justice. My heartfelt regards to Honorable Mohammed Issah Bataglia for his wonderful submission. We, the people of Sissala East, are very and super proud of him. My name is Vugu Waran Eliasu. Okay, thank you so much, Eliasu. Thank you. Good evening, Justice Apia and your guest. My special greetings to the Honorable Member of Parliament for Sissala East, Issah Bataglia. He should continue making us proud. We are blessed to have an MP who is very passionate on developing his constituency. He, Issah Mohammed Bataglia, said that it's about time we stop selling sympathy to people, but we must also be able to sell potentials to attract investments, and truly we are well represented and development is certainly coming. Watching you live from Chalu. Thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening, Pan-African TV. Great submissions from Honorable Bataglia. The people of Sissala East are proud of you, by Wahab. Okay, thank you so much. Honorable Bataglia, NDC is not only going to eat, but they are going to break the 8 in the constituency. We believe in you, and we know you are going to deliver, inshallah. Okay, thank you so much for your message. This is Basuglo Shaibu, watching you live from Nabubu Bele, Honorable Sissala East. Honorable Sissala East is blessed to have you. We're proud of you. Okay, thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening, Justice Apia, and to your guest. My special greetings to Honorable Issah Bataglia Mohammed. He should continue making us proud. We are blessed to have an MP who is very, very passionate about his constituency. All right, thank you so much for your message. Kobe, I'll give you 2 minutes for you to wrap up on both issues. I'm talking about the statement and then the galamsey issue.
Yes, so for the first issue, as I said, I think that Honorable has been very clear that we need a bold leader for the MPP.
You think that Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is on board?
What I can say is about Honorable Kennedy.
Okay.
But for Honorable Kennedy, obviously he's bold.
Okay.
Obviously he's bold.
Compared to the other people who are contesting.
Honorable Kennedy is bold. Honorable Kennedy is bold. And I think that he's right to criticize the fact that the early declaration didn't help the party. And I mean, people who even support other candidates, including the Honorable Hoboy, who supports the former vice presidents. There are videos of him also saying so. In fact, his own spokesperson, it was very clear that the whole declaration actually affected the party and affected the party in parliament. He thinks that it was done to keep the country as one. However, I even think that that's where my point of difference with him is. I think that actually brought more violence, because that was what emboldened people to barge into polling stations, collation centers, to cause mayhem. So I think that's all I want to say for now.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful for your time. Honorable, 2 minutes.
I think want to also say thank you. And on a very lighter note, I've just looked at the balloting of the 5 candidates, and I've made a joke. I said it's like the Ajapons are opening and closing the bracket. Ajapon number 1. And then Japan number 5. So they are closing the others. I don't know whether there will be any specification to that. But trust me, I think that. So I just been looking down, saying, Japans are closing, opening and closing the bracket. Let's see what happens. But I think we have a country to run, and we have a president who is committed in leaving a legacy. All we need as Ghanaians to support him, leave a legacy. This is the president who is promising Ghanaians nothing but the honesty, candidness, and work to make sure they transform Ghanaians. We are talking about a reset, and we are seeing from all facets of our the Ghanaian economy that things are moving in the right direction. We have an albatross as galamsey. Let's come together and fight. We have somebody who is committed, who has no selfish interest or political interest to anything, fighting it right from day one. Let's support him to get things done for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good evening to the people of Sissala East.
Good evening to the people of Sissala East. I'll be there. You know, I was once there. Yes, I know, right? And I'll definitely be there. Titi, so allow me to read some few messages and then we go. Watching you live from Gulumpe in the Kitampo North constituency. Baumia, Kennedy, O'Brien. We don't care. All right, thank you so much for your message. This one says, Sissala East is proud of you, Honorable, leader with vision and mission. God bless you, Honorable. Watching you from Tumu. All right, thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening, Justice. This is Bugu Abdallah, watching you live from Savannah region. Great. Great, my humble MP, Mohammed Issah Bataglia, for me. All right, thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening. Pan-African TV, action speaks louder than words. So far, so very good. Robert Bataglia has changed the political story of the Sissala East constituency by all-inclusive leadership. Safina Sisi in Wa sent in that one. And Robert Bataglia, God bless you. I'm proud of you. Keep working hard to move Sissala land forward. My name is Peter Atindo. I'm unable to take your messages anymore. This is time will allow us on the program. Make a time with us same time tomorrow. But please, the people of Sissala East, tell Honorable to avail himself for political talk shows across the country. He is my friend. Anytime I call him, as for my platform, he will come. But it seems he's not too visible on other platforms. So please, talk to your Honorable to be visible on other platforms. He's a very good communicator, and I think a lot of other platforms would really need his service. Honorable, thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful. And then Kobe is also a good brother and a friend. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful. This is the time we'll allow us again. Make a time with us same time tomorrow. My name is Justice Appiah, and the show has been a prime point. Good night.